Hello everyone, my name is Kate Allgood and I'm the owner of Quantum Performance, a high-performance coaching firm that specializes in the mental training of athletes, both youth and elite level alike. I work with athletes all around the world on the mental aspects of their performance, helping them to get into the zone more often, more frequently, and to be as mentally strong as they are physically. Today we are going to talk about how to get an edge over your competition and what the next big things in sports training are going to be. I'm very passionate about actually these two things that we're going to discuss in a little bit. I'm passionate about obviously the mental side to performance in general is why I do what I do. I think athletes, everyone understands the importance of the mental side, but very rarely do people actually train it, work on it, practice it in the same degree that they do the physical side to the sport. Most athletes understand at all levels of athletics, and this includes professional athletes that I work with, they understand that in order for them to be the best that they can be, they have to have a strong mind, a good mindset, and yet they don't really spend too much time working on it. And it is something to work on. I watch athletes all the time, professional athletes, always working on their physical skill set, always trying to get that little tiny bit better, and yet mentally they kind of get complacent. They say, oh, I do a little bit of visualization before my competition, I'm good. And if someone really wants to be able to perform at their highest level, you got to be always working on the mental side. An analogy I like to use when it comes to the mental and physical difference is, taking a high piece of technology. I like to use iPhones, for example, taking the most recent iPhone that exists, and the iPhone itself, the phone itself, is a hardware, which is an analogy for your body, and the software of a phone is an analogy for your mind. And a phone, as we all know, phones operate the best when the tech in the actual phone, the hardware, matches the software. It happens all the time where the software actually becomes almost too complex for the hardware, and the phones start to slow down, lose memory, the battery goes by faster. And it's interesting because I don't think that very rarely happens in sports where the mind is farther along than the physical body, but I think it does happen sometimes. But most of the time what happens is it's the opposite way, where the technology, the hardware greatly supersedes the software that exists. And so if you think about taking the most recent iPhone and then trying to take the first generation iPhone and the software that existed for that phone and trying to put it into that technology, it wouldn't work very well. That iPhone wouldn't be able to perform to the level that it was designed to perform, and that is your mind and your body. And my job, my passion, is to get someone to work on their mind so that it does match their physical body. And so then when that happens, an athlete is truly able to perform at their very best. So what are these two next big things in sports training? One of these things is cognitive sports training, and I've done some videos. I use a software called NeuroTracker with my clients. There is a remote version, so if this is something that at the end of this you're interested in, please reach out to me to see how you can get kind of set up to be able to do NeuroTracker at home and to be able to start to train your mind like you do your physical body. So cognitive sports training, really what cognitive sports training is, the best way I like to speak of it is weightlifting for your mind. It is like going to the gym, lifting a weight for your mind. And it actually encompasses a lot of the same principles as physical training. It encompasses repetition, isolation, and overload. And that's generally three of the things that happen when you physically train your body. And to be able to actually train your vision, your hand-eye coordination, to be able to train your mind's ability to focus while doing something like NeuroTracker or any of the other cognitive training programs that exist is really amazing, because we're at a point in time where we actually have the technology to be able to do this and to track it. And yes, it is still a little bit in its infancy, so research is there. More research definitely needs to be done, but it's definitely something that people are starting to talk about now as one of those next waves of sports training. You know, when long time ago, a lot of athletes didn't even do strength training. And so the first thing that really came along was strength training, and realizing that when you train your body and train your body in the right way, it's going to help you improve your performance. And then people were like, oh, what about what you eat? And so nutrition became a really big part of how someone is able to perform, and helping someone to be able to perform at their very best. And then there's sports psychology, which is still picking up steam a little bit. There's still people who don't really, I think, see the benefit in it as much as they do the nutrition or the physical training, but it's such a huge part. So even if you're doing some sports psychology, you're definitely ahead of the game. All top athletes do sports psychology, and if you're a professional athlete, college athlete, you're not doing it, then you're definitely kind of behind the eight ball. But that fourth one, that next one that people are really talking about, which is encompassed within sports psychology, is cognitive sports training. So as I said, if you're interested more in this, please feel free to reach out to me. Look up my video, what is cognitive sports training, what is NeuroTracker. It'll give you a little bit of an idea on this thing. So that's one of them. The second one is mindfulness, which I've talked about in my last two videos. And this obviously is encompassed in sports psychology. So the first, or I guess the second most recent, most people understand within sports psychology, is a cognitive behavioral approach, which I don't think is necessarily going to go away. And the cognitive behavioral approach is changing the way that you think, the way that you see things, as well as changing your behavior. So it's coming at it from both the mindset, the way that you think, the way that you view things, as well as how you behave, your habits, and what you are doing. And research is starting to obviously indicate that mindfulness is going to be huge, and is really going to be that next progression forward within sports psychology, and therefore within sports training. And when you look at it, when you break down all of the sports psychology, I guess, principles or areas such as self-talk, visualization, arousal control, goal setting, all of these things, when you break it down, it comes down to how mindful somebody is, the better they're going to be able to do those things. If someone is more aware of themselves, more aware of their environment, not judgmental with how they look at their mistakes and how they look at situations, and able to be in the present moment, they're able to do all of these things way better. They'll be able to implement their self-talk better, or they won't need to adjust their self-talk because they're aware of it and they're able to shift it. They're able to refocus better. They're able to adjust their emotional arousal. They're able to catch it earlier so that it doesn't take until it's at a point where it's really hard to adjust, to be able to then get themselves into that right mindset. So if you're an athlete who's looking to get an edge over your competition, who wants to be you want to be your best as an athlete and want to perform at a very high level, you need to start looking at cognitive sports training as well as mindfulness. If you've kind of liked the information in this video, and you want more information and help on how to get into the zone and how to develop your mindset, I'm offering right now a free copy of my #1 Amazon bestselling book, Get Into the Zone. There's a link in the description of this video below for you to be able to sign up to get that copy. Please go ahead and sign up if you want more information and more knowledge on how to get into the zone and how to be a good athlete and how to develop your mindset. Hope you enjoyed the video, and see you soon.